January 13th, 2023, noon recess. We're considering one bill today, Senate File 95, Moon Landing Bill. And we'll dispense with roll call because we know everybody's here. Let's go ahead and proceed with Senator Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you have Senate File 95. And this is a bill that I've been thinking about for several years, and just want to give you some backstory of how it came to be. As you know, on the national level, and even at the state level, there's a lot of discussion about whether or not states should be, or even localities, observing, in lieu of Columbus Day, Indigenous People Day. And in doing some research on this bill, I thought, well, better look and see what Wyoming has on the books. And so I came to find out that we already have in our statutes in 8-4-105 Native American Day. It's actually supposed to be celebrated the second Friday in May. And the governor has some language saying he shall issue a proclamation requesting proper observance of Native American Day. And so rather than to kind of wade in that controversy, though I've given it a lot of thought, as a Native person, I've always had questions about why we do celebrate Columbus Day. And one explanation I've seen is it's a celebration of discovery. In my view, Columbus discovered a nation that was, or a land that was already occupied by human beings. And his mission wasn't really to set out for scientific purposes. It really was about seeking trade routes and finding wealth in other areas. So as I started thinking about what discovery means, I think one thing that I'm really passionate about is space, and the fact that our country was the first country to put a person on the moon. And in thinking about that important, significant day, I think people in my generation, I was born after the moon landing occurred, maybe take for granted the fact that we've done this amazing thing. In fact, when I think of all the amazing accomplishments of mankind, I think moon landing is right up there, if not the number one thing that we've done. So this bill is brought to you in that vein of really trying to celebrate this historic achievement. In looking at some research, there are 11 federal holidays. Moon landing is not one of them. In 1971, President Nixon declared July 20th, 1969 as just as one National Moonwalk Day, but that's kind of been the only acknowledgement of this achievement since. And so, Mr. Chairman, this bill really borrows existing language in our statutes of how we commemorate certain events on certain days. So you'll see on page 1, it would add a new section to 8-4- and this would be a new section 116, to recognize that American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the first human beings to land and walk on the moon on July 20th, 1969. So it would designate July 20th each year in Wyoming as Moon Landing Day. On page 2, paragraph B, it instructs the governor to, in advance of July 20th, issue a proclamation requesting proper observance of Moon Landing Day. In requesting this bill draft, I asked LSO to really just look at what we do in existing statutes. It might be appropriate, Mr. Chairman, for us to look at line 6, the word shall, and insert maybe may. I know that's kind of been contentious in recent years about the legislature instructing the governor to do anything. And then just to clarify that this wouldn't provide any time off or affect any, business as usual. This is just really a day to commemorate the moon landing. So it wouldn't be a recognized state holiday. I'll confess to you that I did think about making it a state holiday. July 20th tends to land during Cheyenne Frontier Days. I think a lot of people in my community would love to have that day off, but I didn't think that was appropriate to bring at this time. So that's the bill, Mr. President, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, old habits die hard. Mr. Chairman, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Committee, do you have questions? Don't make it this easy.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, just to add a few points. I wasn't even looking at my notes. I think the purpose of bringing it to is, not only to commemorate the national event that occurred, but really in an effort to get kids excited about STEM learning. In recent years, we've worked on efforts to require computer science to be taught in our classrooms. We get a lot of information about girls and minorities and certain demographics not being involved in careers in science, technology, and engineering. So this is, I think it's important for Wyoming to really continue to support STEM education. So this might provide an opportunity for student groups or schools to be aware of the importance of the science and math and engineering played in us getting to the moon. And then just an acknowledgement, we do have the Petroleum Association in the room. I was made aware that petroleum products do propel rockets into space. So we're supporting a good Wyoming industry there. But I also read an article that there is a company based in Wyoming out of Campbell County that has been providing through mining and machining components that are used by NASA and have been propelled into space. And so as Wyoming's looking at diversifying its economy, manufacturing, mining all contribute to space exploration. And we should be proud of the fact that Wyoming has such a robust mining industry. And so just one final point I wanted to make about on why I brought this bill.
We might add history to that too. Wouldn't you say that it's fascinating that they could do such a trip in 1969 with the engineering available?
Yes.
Come back home safe, walk on another planet. And this moves it into the schools where we don't have to have a specific day, but we can have this designation. And teachers who are aggressive about their teaching can tie this into the conversation and tie everything that you just said, but also the fact that it was done decades ago. They put another person on the moon in '69. Incredible engineering from back then. Committee. Go ahead.
Chairman, comment, please. There's not a lot of people in this room that are old enough to remember this, other than a few of us. But yeah, but I will tell you, for those that don't remember, this was the day the nation stopped, literally stopped and tuned in, and it was a day of pride that even as a little kid, I can tell you that, not a little kid, but a younger person, we were all really proud of what was happening, and I think proper recognition is acceptable.
Right. Senator, I'm old enough to remember our neighborhood gathered around a fellow neighbor's television. He had it outside, a bunch of lawn chairs, and he had it sitting on a table, and the whole neighborhood was gathered around watching it. I thought that was fascinating. So, yeah, why not? Anybody else? Senator Jones, Senator Rothfuss? Okay, all right. Public comment. Public comment in the room, go ahead. Well, you need to be at mic and identify yourself. Go ahead and identify yourself for the record.
There we go. I was about 11
Need to
when this
say your name
happened.
for the record.
And my mom was a chemist, so she was very anxious about what was going on because she kind of knew more than any average citizen would about what might happen. But it was the most exciting thing I remember as a little kid. So,
Right.
so
Thank you.
I'm happy we're doing this.
And I think, what is your name? And
Yeah,
Amy
identify yourself for the
Giglovich,
record.
and I'm a Cheyenne resident.
Very good.
Thank
For
you.
the memory. Anybody else in the room? Anybody on the internet? Okay, thank you. Committee, what's your pleasure? Okay, you got a motion to move, second? Moved and seconded. Let's review the. Senator Jones. Go over the bill. Page 1, changes. Page 2,
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
I move that on page 6, page 2, line 6, strike shall and insert the word may.
Okay, that one's easy. We got that over there? Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, roll call, please.
Aye.
Senator Ellis,
Aye.
Senator Jones. Aye. Senator Rehberg,
Aye.
and Chairman Duffy.
Aye, thank you. Senator Ellis, you just opened up an opportunity for our students to learn even more, not only about science, but history.
Moon landing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Chairman Duffy, who will present this on the floor?
Senator Ellis. Thanks, Abby.